Hey everybody, this is Fran from the 5-Minute Modeler. Today we're going to talk about some free model railroading resources that I think you need in your model railroad journey. But before that, I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the comments I see about cost and how expensive model railroading is. I'm going to go back in history a little bit here. In 1982, when I first got into N-scale, I bought my first locomotive. It was a Bachmann GP40 that I found at a hobby shop in Louisville, and I recall that I paid around $30 for it. I also bought a few cars and some track to get me started on my lifelong pursuit of scale excellence. I still have that GP40. It's been repainted from its original Burlington Northern paint job to a Grand Trunk. It was an okay runner, though it's a bit noisier than today's locomotives, as you can hear. But using an inflation calculator, that same engine today would cost $98 in today's money. There seems to be a lot of concern about the cost of the hobby. This is not new. People complained about this 40 years ago about the cost. But one thing that's changed significantly is the amount of free material that's available at no charge. I'll highlight those in a few minutes. Back to the cost of equipment, though, I just looked on a website of a popular Midwestern U.S. hobby shop, and I was looking for locomotives. Well, you can always spend a ton of money on locomotives, some for $700-800 and some of the brass ones even more. Most of us will find that we need to conserve our hobby dollars, and we can find much less expensive locomotives than that. If we think about that $30/$98 Bachmann engine, I found that this hobby shop listed a large number of locomotives for less than $100, and several actually under $80 that were from Kato and Atlas, which are some of the best running and most reliable locomotives available. These also are DCC ready, so they can be upgraded down the road if desired. Quality is also significantly improved. Now, $100 is a lot of money. No one's arguing that. But my point is, prices have generally stayed within reason over time. While I'm cautious about buying locomotives off of eBay or through some other online marketplaces, these can be great places to buy new or slightly used cars, building kits, tracks and switches, and scenic materials for significantly less than the retail price. I set up searches for these looking for bargains. I'll select an item that I want, let's say gondolas, and then put a filter on it where the price will have to be less than $10. I'll let that notify me of whenever a car meets that price. Now, I have to bid on it, sure, and sometimes I don't win. Sometimes the price goes over what I'm looking for, but other times I get great bargains, especially if I end up winning on several items from the same seller and they combine shipping. But much of the hobby is really about education and learning about the railroads. Sure, you can go out and buy a train set, put it on the table, and run your trains around. But if you're serious about model railroading, you'll likely want to build something a bit more permanent. So let's talk about resources that will help you achieve those goals by looking at what is available for free. The internet has provided numerous crowdsourced resources free to all. Here are 8 of my top free resources available to model railroaders, and I'll post links to these in the comments. Also, if you have a link or other resources that you've found helpful, post these in the comments below. The first one is magazines. Back in the day, magazines were a great source of information and inspiration, and one of the few, printed material. These had pictures and stories of other models, modelers, and how they accomplished various elements of model railroading. I learned a lot from these and kept those magazines for years. While you can still buy magazines like Model Railroader and Railroad Model Craftsman, they're a bit expensive. You can also buy older issues at train shows and the like. One hobby shop I go to even gives away older copies of the magazines. Model Railroad Hobbyist is a free online magazine published every month. This magazine offers thoughtful insights, projects, layouts, and other relevant information. Some of the pay magazines also have free resources on their website, so check those out as well. Number 2, social media. If you aren't already aware, and I'm assuming that by the fact that you found this YouTube video that you are aware, the various social media sites are used by modelers around the world. Folks will share their creations, post questions, and discuss various model railroad topics. Facebook has numerous groups covering most of the scales as well as those with very specific focuses such as weathering, track work, and others. They can be great educational resources on the topics of most interest to you. YouTube is another great resource, as I mentioned, and their algorithm will feed you new content all the time. Others such as Instagram, TikTok, Reddit, and others can also provide useful insights. Number 3, I'd also encourage you to find a model railroad club or a group near you. These can be extremely helpful to those learning the hobby, as members are always willing to share their knowledge. These also provide a great social experience with fellow modelers. If there's no local club around you, think about starting one. I did this back in the 1980s in Louisville, Kentucky. HO and O scales had a pretty good presence, but there was very little N scale that I found. One day I saw an N scale layout at a train show and I was talking with the guy running the trains. I asked him if there was any N scale clubs around and he said no, there wasn't. As I was talking with him, another guy came up and joined the conversation, and he was also interested in joining a club. So the three of us got together, put together a few N-track modules, and displayed these at libraries, malls, and train shows. And this quickly grew to around 30 members. People from all walks of life were in that club, modelers of all levels from beginners to very serious folks. One of the great achievements we had was hosting the N-scale convention in the U.S. It was amazing how far we had come. Okay, so now here are some free tools that will help you in your journey. Number 4, scale rulers. If you're doing any serious scale modeling, building kits, and so forth, you're going to need a scale ruler. You can buy a metal ruler and they're around $13, and I suggest at some point you might do that. But in the meantime, there's a website that provides printable rulers for multiple scales. PrintableRulers.net provides these at no cost to the user, and they have multiple scales. Number 5, track planning software. While my preference to draw track plans requires only graph paper, pencil, and a compass, many people like to use software to test their layout ideas. There are several versions of track planning software you might find of value, including SCARM, AnyRail, and Xtrack CAD. These do take a little bit of time to get to learn, but you might find them very helpful. Number 6, scale converter. Oftentimes we'll find objects that we want to model and we don't know what the size is in our scale. Woodland Scenics has a free scale converter tool that I use all the time. If I have a measurement of something in real life, I can convert it to N scale with this tool as well. Number 7, JMRI. If you're into computers at all, the Java Model Railroad Interface is a great free software tool for modelers that provides a cafeteria-style list of features. You can use all or part of the elements. In fact, most people only use some of the functionality. You can track your car inventory, develop train schedules to operate, manage DCC settings for locomotives, allow for the usage of additional wireless throttles. It even has a sound module that emulates several locomotive sounds that can be synced to your trains. It can be made as sophisticated as you want or as easy as you want. And I have a short video on this. Number 8, and the final one, online forums and websites. There are numerous online forums for model railroaders to ask questions, share information with other fellow modelers. Some of these include trains.com, Model Railroad Hobbyist, and many others. A great locomotive research tool is spookshow.net, where the author has written detailed reviews on virtually all locomotives that have been manufactured over the years. In the end, it's not about the money, but how much enjoyment it brings you. We all choose how to spend our money, whether it's on a $5 cappuccino, an expensive lawnmower, or whatever. But model railroading is a journey that can provide lifetime satisfaction, and our creativity can be nurtured while spending as much or as little money as we want. Having something you built yourself or with friends can be a great source of pride as well. Again, let me know of any free resources that you have found helpful that you'd like to share with the group. And again, thanks for watching another episode of the 5 Minute Modeler.